Okay. Welcome, welcome to the One Network. So happy to be here with Mission Impossible Peru. Back in business, and the tribe is vibing once again. So good to see you all here. Don't know where the co host is, the master of the day, Dave. And so we will carry on until we can make connection with him. As we are moving forward, this is what? Show numero dos? Number two? Is that correct? Number three? I know I missed the first one. Absolutely. Missed the first one, but absolutely. We're going to move forward with this second show and we're going to get some sharing done with what's been going on the ground and in the technical arena. We've got the panel here. We've got Carl Moltzen is here with us. Carl, welcome to the show. Guess he's not listening. Okay. We've also got live joining us. Linda Livesay is here.
I'm here. Just remember, it takes me a little bit of time to unmute my mic.
Oh, sorry, love. Good to have you here. Linda is here with us sitting on the panel. Linda Livesay, welcome to the show, love.
Thank you, India. Great to be here.
Absolutely. The techie man of the hour, who I will be deferring to for every tidbit, every moment. John Carl, say hello, love. Absolutely. I don't know. Is Elaine listening? Elaine? Not sure. See what happened to the video? We're going to be speaking to the goddess of the plant kingdom and bringing us forward with the new and the what's moving and grooving in permaculture and aquaponics. Linda, welcome. I'm sorry, Elaine, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm here with some of the team. I've got Andy with me.
Hi there.
Hi, Andy.
Hi.
And Will be joining us. He is currently at the garden taking care of the fish and the afternoon routine. So he'll be back just now and he'll be joining us.
Okay, when he steps in, be sure to introduce him so we can make sure everyone gets their screen time. Okay? Cammy B, my wing woman, is here. Say hello, Cammy.
Cammy.
Hello, Cammy. And then I have Sweet Laughing Water. Sorry you just jumped in. I didn't get your name. What is your name, sweetheart?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What is your name?
Elke.
Elke. Okay, alrighty. Sorry, I was gonna just call you Sweet Laughing Water because I kind of like that.
That's my name.
I love it. I love that.
Thank you.
So let's jump right in. I know last week was the first show and it was kind of a test run and everything, but I'm going to give the microphone over to John Carl so you can kind of explain this new venue that we're at. Because now not only can you hear us, but you can see what we're doing and you never could before. So explain to us a little bit about what this new platform is and where people can tune in and sort of if there's anything they need to download to keep track. Let us know what's going on with that, John Carl, please. as we are evolving, so is every platform, the way that we think, the way that we move. So it's all fitting with the scenario of the times that we're in. Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and get started with. Go ahead, sweetheart. Mm. Yeah. And if you're not techie, then I'm scared because I don't know what category that would put me in. Because were it not for you, I wouldn't be here right now because I have no concept of any of this. So I am crawling along as well. And I am forever grateful. Let me just tell you that. So don't you even think about moving or going to the bathroom until this is over. Um, as we can tell, we still haven't sorted out where Dave is, but we're going to go ahead and commence with the sharing of what's been going on up to date. I don't know how many of you are aware, Mission Impossible is now a franchise. So we have Mission Impossible Peru, which is where we're speaking to you from today. But what's also going on is Mission Impossible Global. So we had a show on last night. So every Friday night, also on Expanding You Radio, you can tune into Mission Impossible Global. And the reason I bring that up is because this is a global intention that we're setting. We're here to show the way, to take those first steps, to be the pioneers of what we're building as a world we'd like to experience in our coming days and years, and something we want to leave for our children, which is kind of forward thinking instead of thinking backwards that we've inherited everything and everything belongs to us. So we're moving out of that mindset, and I'm so proud to see it happening. In doing so, we've connected with so many innovators and inventors and visionaries and co-creators. And to me, this genre serves that platform so very beautifully in bringing the world together because it's a big planet. But to me, it seems to be getting smaller because I know someone on just about every continent, but for Antarctica. But give me a moment. So what we did this week, we had an episode of In Good Company on Expanding You Radio with Fernando Bosa and Professor John Searle, and another co-creator of theirs on their team from Searle Magnetics and Searle University called Fernando Morris. And what they were able to share with us, and Dave was very interested in, as we all are for all of these projects for alternative living paradigms, is the concept of free energy. And we've been speaking so much on MIP Global up to this point about the QEG or the QEEG, the quantum energy generator. But we just want everyone to know that's not the only one. This technology's been here. It's always been here. And we're just remembering and rediscovering and uncovering these things so that we can bring them to all of humanity so that abundance is not something for the any percent of us, but for the all. And Professor Searle let us know that I will screw up the stats, but I believe the Searle effect generator is a free energy device that will have an output of something of 15 watts or something like that. But anyway, by the beginning of kilowatts, there we go. See, I told you I would screw up techie terms. So by the beginning of next year, we are looking forward to seeing this technology coming to bear in our lives for real, not just on a blog post, not just on something we've read in a science magazine or seen on a TED talk. These are things that he's bringing out to the communities, to the public at large, open sourced for anyone who's interested. This, again, as we've spoken with the rings before, this technology is not new. And just like Ralph and Marcia Ring, Professor Searle has been working in this genre for 60 years nearly. It's been since the 1940s he began creating prototypes. So this isn't something he's just, downloaded in the recent weeks. The prototypes are there, the technology is here, the time is now, and so it's time to get things moving right along. So unfortunately, we don't have Dave to put in his information and his take on what he got from the conversation, but suffice it to say, he was very excited about being partners with Professor Searle and Searle Magnetics and all of that team to bring the Searle generator to Peru. and again to any coming projects who are interested in this technology. John, did you get a chance to listen to that show? '86, yes. Hmm. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. It's an honor to be even in the company of people like that I've read about in magazines, but just to imagine that I can go click on Skype and ring this person or have a phone conversation or have him provide input to any of these projects is just so humbling to me.
Did you catch
So
that marketing video they circulated today? Was that a video like they're ready to start selling units? That's
uh,
what I got from
it
it.
was kind of a teaser, like the trailer for what's to come. And so just to get everybody's appetite whetted for this technology and a little bit familiarized with what's available. So that was kind of that 7-minute video was what sent to me by Fernando Bosa this morning, just to give everybody, again, like I said, a taste of what's on the horizon, because again, fantasy has now become made manifest.
We
And
can
speaking of,
actually play,
go ahead.
sorry, we can play videos on this platform now with the screen share and show people what we're talking
Oh, you can
about.
play it if you have it. Do you have it access to it, or do you need
I
me to
can
link
queue
it?
it up, but
Go ahead and
getting we're limitless now. But whoever's administrator has the screen share, so I got to go find it. He sent it all over the place, so it shouldn't be very hard to find.
I tagged you in it on Facebook.
Yeah, he emailed it, Facebooked it, and everything. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Well, we can still, like I said, we'll get it out on social media. I shared it this morning, tagged a bunch of people. If you didn't see it, just let me know. I'll tag you when I send it to you. It's only 7 minutes long, but it's just absolutely packed full of information. And again, it contains that fire that I experienced just when in speaking with the professor, and his passion is overspilling. So the inspiration that's available, if nothing else, is absolutely something that's needed to be shared. So we'll get that circulated once again and make sure everyone has access to it. And when you get it, please share it. Pop it in your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Sue or TSU. I don't even know how you say that word, but yeah, put it over there as well because it all counts. It all counts. So I want to go ahead and move on to the grand dame of this show. The focus of this show is going to be on aquaponics, and I know that's something that's so very special to Dave's heart because he is that builder brain, and he's been building and tinkering and creating little systems on his own for so very long, and now he's teamed up with some masters and mistresses. And speaking of, I'm going to give the microphone over to this beautiful lady called Elaine here, and I want her to tell us about this project that's going on, because the pictures I see, I just want to leave the show now and just jump through the computer. So tell us a little bit, A, about who you are, B, what you're doing, and C, how does it help us all?
Okay, thank you. Yes, we are a group of people located in the Caribbean, on the island of St. Martin. It's a fairly unique location. It's the smallest landmass in the world to be peacefully occupied by two different nations. It's only 37 square miles, but about 100,000 people live here, so it's quite densely populated. And we are 99.9 probably % dependent on imported food, and that makes us very vulnerable to impacts from any international situation. I mean, in a time of international conflict, which we hope doesn't happen, or natural disaster, there's other places will take priority when it comes to food, and sending food to St. Martin probably won't be very high on the list. And we have maybe a week's supply of food on the island. So we took it upon ourselves to start a community garden, and we chose to use aquaponics as our primary growing media because The other two things that are quite scarce on the island is good quality agricultural land. Most of the good quality agricultural land has either been built on or is being held back for future development. So it's not being made available to grow food.
May I ask you to just, for any listeners who aren't familiar, Elaine, can you make a distinction between the difference in aquaponics and hydroponics?
Yes, aquaponics is the joining of hydroponics and aquaculture, which is the farming of fish. The two systems are linked together. The total is greater than the sum of its parts, or however that goes. The systems, basically what we design is a mini ecosystem. So it's very delicately balanced and we have to monitor the water quality and pH and things like this, so that the plants and the fish and the essential bacteria that colonize parts of the system to perform a conversion from the fish waste into plant food, the system has to be balanced well to provide the environment for these bacteria, because they're essential. So yeah, and the other great thing about aquaponics is that unlike hydroponics, it's not necessary to flush the water out, because we don't get build-ups of nutrients that we don't need in the water. So the water can just be recycled endlessly. So it's very, very good on conserving water. And because we don't need soil, you can have an aquaponics system on a beach, which in fact I did have when I first started playing with aquaponics. So, even in sand, it doesn't matter, because you're not using the ground to grow in.
Wow,
so
life without limits.
That's great. We started our community garden. We took out the lease in July of 2013. We have to pay to lease the greenhouse that we're using at the moment, regrettably. It has not been donated to us. So under the current monetary system, we have to sell produce in order to make money, in order to be able to pay the rent. But we grow all organically. We spent the first 5, 6 months just clearing the scrub from the greenhouse that had not been used in 8 years. So it was very overgrown, and constructing the first aquaponics system, which we switched on in January of this year. We have a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture Program, and at the moment we have 40 memberships available every 12 weeks. And our members receive a box of produce from our garden, and a partner grower that we have on the island of Dominica, who sends us organic produce on a weekly basis on one of the local island trading boats. Produce that we cannot yet grow in the aquaponics system because it's not mature. So things like oranges and grapefruits and avocados that take years for the trees to mature and produce fruit, we're accessing via an organic producer in Dominica. So this way our members are supporting, localizing our economy by keeping more of the money of what they spend on food in the local economy. They're supporting local organic agricultural production, and they're helping us to send out a message to other communities that this is something that any community can do. In fact, we're just about to start our second community garden on the island. This one is being funded, and the land is being provided by a developer. So we've interested a local developer in the project, and we're very excited to be at the beginning stages of creating an edible landscape there, which will include aquaponics. Basically, we're going to be designing we are designing a food forest. So it will have the feel of a botanical garden, but everything there will be edible or have an edible component. And it also comprises 2 quite large ponds that will be stocked with fish. So that's where we are at the moment. Our community garden philosophy. Will has just joined us. He's sitting on the sofa at the back. You can't see him at the moment, but he's here in the room. He's just come back from the garden where he's been taking care of things up there.
So welcome to the show.
So yeah, the philosophy that we have and our ultimate intention is to inspire other communities on the island to wish to establish community gardens for themselves in their own neighborhoods. We have a pay it forward philosophy, so our gardens will generate a little more money than it takes to run them, and we will pay that forward to help other communities to set up their own gardens. And under the umbrella of our non-profit organisations that we've already set up, it streamlines things for other communities that they don't have to go through that process as well. They can come under our umbrella, so it makes it easier. So we provide the expertise. We hope to be able to provide a little bit of money. We're still in the beginning stages here, so we're not generating that yet. In fact, send money, send money, send money, and so we're still building, but we're also producing already. We're now into our just begun this week, our third 12-week membership period from the Lowlands Community Garden, and we're very excited about the future.
I think, Jonna, you're raising your hand. Go ahead.
At the moment, we have flood and drain systems and NFT, growing in pipes, plants growing in pipes. We are in Well, I'm not sure that it's truly a nutrient-filled technique. I'm not sure, because I don't have a background in hydroponics. Let me just state that. This is the first time I've ever grown anything in water, is in aquaponics. So the technical terms I'm not that familiar with, because we've just applied what works here. And here we found the flood and drain works quite well. The great thing about flood and drain is that the media provides the habitat for the nitrifying bacteria. They are aerobic, so they need oxygen, and they also need, of course, to have nutrients, and the nutrients come through as ammonia from the byproduct of the respiration of the fish. So that takes place there, and the flood and drain works very well. The other system we have, as I say, is pipes. We have 3-inch pipes that have holes cut in the pipes, and the plants sit in little pots. We found that having water running constantly through the pipes, the roots of the plants weren't getting enough air. So we developed a 5-gallon bucket mechanical timer, which sits at the top of each of the frames. So the water runs constantly into the bucket, which has a bell siphon inside of it. And every 10 to 15 minutes, the bucket drains and releases 5 gallons of water into that particular pipe frame that holds about 90 plants. And then it starts to fill again, so that gets intermittent watering rather than constant. This is because the pumps that we use are rated for continuous use, and they have quite high starting amperage. So we don't want to be turning them on and off all the time with an electrical timer. So we've selected mechanical alternatives. And we're just about to put in some floating raft beds. We also have wicking beds in there. The wicking beds work in that there's a shallow layer of stone, and then a membrane, a permeable membrane, and above that we use coconut coir. And the water runs through the stone, and the plants wick the nutrients and water up.
Okay, what's coconut coir?
Coconut coir is the husk around a coconut. So when you see coconut in the store, you've got the little nut, and it has a fibrous husk around the outside of it.
I didn't know it had a special name. I thought it was the outside.
Well, it's the husk until it's mashed up into little pieces, and then it's called coir.
Okay. I'm going to use that later today.
And we use that. We're trying as much as possible to find growing systems that we can replenish from local resources necessary. At the moment, we ship in the coconut coir because we don't have the machine to make it, but the potential exists once we have enough systems running around the island for us to invest in a machine so we can actually make our own, because living in a Caribbean island, we're kind of surrounded by coconut trees. It's a wonderful resource, and the coir is pretty much wasted at the moment. It goes into the landfill.
Wow.
Mhm. Yeah. At the moment, we have been, up until now, we have been buying in organic fish food that we obtain in the United States. There's only one brand of organic fish food available. We've been feeding that to the fingerlings, to the baby fish, but we're also growing duckweed. The fish we're farming at the moment in the systems are tilapia, and they're vegetarian. We're also growing the tree here called the moringa tree. Moringa is an amazing plant. Its original name in Sanskrit, I understand, translates to tree of life in English, and it is originally from India. It's actually a legume, so it's also a nitrogen fixer. It's very deep taproot, so it's fantastic for permaculture applications. It brings nutrients and water to the surface, and we will be planting a lot of this in our food forest. Every part of the plant is edible, and it has a very, very wide range, a very high level of nutrients. It's quite amazing. So we're also going to be growing this to feed to the fish. I'm sorry?
Green waste.
We're actually composting the green waste because some of the plants we start off in compost before we move them to the systems. And also because we are raising a lot of seedlings for other locations, tree seedlings and bushes and things like this, passion fruits and Suriname cherry and soursop and cashew and a lot of other trees that we're raising, avocado, they all need a compost base. So we're making our own organic compost.
It sounds like you're
Yeah, especially once we have free energy devices available and we can run our pumps and aeration systems using free energy. At the moment, we're connected to the mains power supply at the greenhouse, but we are looking at a solar installation, putting in a solar installation here. To run at least the aeration system, because the aeration system is critical. The ponds, the tanks, fish tanks need to be heavily aerated, and if we get a power outage, it doesn't take very long before the fish become oxygen depleted and you lose fish, and that's always very sad. Yes, India.
I have a question. Now, in the system that since it's got this its own ecosystem, so to speak, with the fish and the plants and all of that, is there a way that you can capitalize on that and raise fish that not only feed the ecosystem but are also food for to sustain the the villagers, or so to speak, as well as supporting that system and feeding the plants?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, we raise red tilapia in our system at the moment. We will be adding the Australian red claw crayfish. They are quite an amazing crayfish. They grow up to 1.5 pounds in weight, and unlike other crayfish, they are not territorial, so you can keep them. They live quite happily in tanks.
Yeah, you need to send me your address. I'll be there. I'll work for crayfish. I'm just saying. Wow, that's brilliant. Cami, did you have any questions? Because I know she was telling me about some of the system that I missed last week. Did you have any other questions you wanted to bring forward about
I
that?
was curious how like what all are you guys growing specifically, and how many people are you feeding? And like I know you have a plan of helping to supply food for the island, so I kind of wanted to get into that, like your vision and also where you're at in the process, because I remember last week you said that you had discovered something big, or were in the process of discovering something big about refining the process.
I don't recall what that might have been.
But I remember Dave saying he was going to follow up with it, and it's
Okay.
been a week. I can't remember even yesterday.
Well, what we're doing is we have, as I said, we have a community-supported agriculture program, which is membership-based. At the first garden that we have, the Lowlands Community Garden, the local residents association does not permit us to have a shop. We're not allowed to have a commercial activity within the residential area, but we get around that by having a membership program, and that way our members, and the other great thing about CSA is that our members pay in advance for us to grow food for them. So they pay for the membership in advance. That enables us to grow the food over the 12 weeks for them, and then every 12 weeks they renew their memberships. And as we grow, we will expand the number of members that we have rather than increasing the size of the shares. So this way we reach more people. And the second garden that we're just commencing will actually have a farmer's market style shop there. And we're going to introduce some pick your own areas so people can actually come in and pick their own produce. And our vision is to connect people with where their food comes from. We have some of our population on the island do grow their own food. We have quite a large number of backyard growers here, but they are not largely aware of the issues of organic production versus chemical production. I don't like to call it conventional because I don't believe that it is. And and of course the inherent dangers of GMOs and other heavily, pesticide laden produce. A lot of people are not aware of that. So part of what we are doing is to raise awareness of that too. And in fact, we are working now quite closely with one of the schools on the island. In fact, I went in with some of the team members this week and gave a presentation to a class in the school, and they're coming out on a field trip to the garden on Tuesday morning. So we're also going to be working with that school to help them design and build their own organic permaculture garden and aquaponics system. So we hope that by leading by example, that once other schools see that this is possible, that they will want to do it too. We see schools as being the perfect location for community gardens.
Yes.
Because people come there.
Absolutely, and you've got all those fresh, open, those budding minds that don't have all of these I can't, or that won't work, or that's not right. They don't have that mentality. So again, we always are emphasizing how important it is to reach the children, because they can accept these things without having to unprogram and unlearn and then relearn all of these types of techniques. Now, something I'd love to hear more about is A, what size is the property of the gardens, and B, what types of things are you producing there? What are you growing?
Okay, the garden is located in a 400 square meter greenhouse frame. The greenhouse was built in the year 2000, was run as a hydroponics greenhouse for a few years, and then it was abandoned, pretty much abandoned. The hurricane came through, took the roof off, and the guys that were renting it at the time didn't want to reinvest in their system, and they just walked away from it and left it. So we've taken it over, we've cleared it out, just reused it, repurposed a lot of the materials that were there, and we now have 3 aquaponic systems in the garden. We do have room for a 4th, but we've decided to leave that area open for a teaching area we want to put in at some time in the future. So we have 3 systems. Each system contains 3 fish tanks, and each fish tank contains between 800 and 1,000 gallons of water, depending on how full it is. It varies. We use evaporation, and what the plants use themselves is pretty much all of the water that we lose, and we replace that from rainwater that is collected from the roof of the adjacent building. And in those systems, when the systems are complete, we're still finalizing. As I say, we're just about to add floating raft beds in 2 of the systems. When it's complete, we will have plant spaces for more than 5,000 plants. And we have been, over the course of this year, playing with different varieties to see what works best here. We found, for instance, that Chinese water spinach, which is something that's very little known, but is absolutely delicious, grows very, very well in the systems. We're growing a lot of watercress, also grows well. Didn't realize until recently it's actually a member of the brassica family, so it's more closely related to broccoli than pretty much anything else. We grow moringa in the systems. We grow pak choy, varieties of pak choy. We've got cucumbers in, tomatoes, aubergine, eggplant. Other people who don't know it as aubergine. We're putting in zucchini or courgettes. We're putting in. We have a variety of herbs in there. We have mint. We have 3 varieties of basil. We've got chives. We're growing a local thyme. It's known some places as Mexican thyme, other places as Cuban oregano. It's got many, many names, but it's a wonderful plant. We've got onions in, and strawberries.
Wow.
We have 600 strawberry plants.
This is what Egypt sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Everybody can
Absolutely.
just rinse and repeat what they're learning from is the beauty of this.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah,
tweak what we think we know.
this is it. And we're actually very fortunate here in the Caribbean that we have on the island of St. Croix a campus of the University of the Virgin Islands, and they first developed aquaponics in the 1980s. And they run regular workshops there. I attended one earlier this year, and they share with people who attend the workshops, they share all of their data from all of their research that they have ever conducted. So we have now got that in-house, and we're sharing that and being able to pay that forward as we set up more systems around the island. And this technology really seems to be taking off here now. It seems to be that it's a technology that's time has come. Food prices have risen to the point where it is now justified. The expenditure on setting up this kind of system is now justified. Water resources, water is becoming more scarce. This system uses less than 10% of the water of conventional growing methods.
Right.
And with free energy devices, even the electricity that we need to run the pumps and the aeration systems is now pretty much available free.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and in fact, you can use marginal land or even land that can never be used for cultivation because it's contaminated from industrial waste. Because you're not actually growing in the land at all, so it doesn't matter. You can put this on an old industrial site. In fact, I believe put it in a desert. Absolutely, and I believe there are some systems in the Middle East and the Gulf states that run. They use concentrated solar as to for their energy, and they also desalinate their water using concentrated solar at the same time. And they use the desalinated water in the system, and the heat exchange from the energy production they use to cool the greenhouses. So there are quite advanced technology being employed in these systems around the world. And in the United States, I understand that some old industrial warehouses are now being employed as growing areas for aquaponics.
Are they all open sourcing what they're learning as well? Because I know the governments in some of those places are doing that. Are they open sourcing what they're learning, or is it just the people that are doing that?
I really don't know. I've seen information about it, but I've been so busy we've been so busy on working on our own project that we've drawn information that we've needed from where we've been able to find it, and in fact it doesn't seem to be that forthcoming, so I would say probably not at this time. But
I think it's so important though, because in especially, I mean, living in the United States, the having the option to even buy food that's alive is very narrow here. You have to know somebody, and then a lot of times people who are doing home gardening, you have a small garden in your back plot. They're buying their seeds from Walmart or Lowe's or one of these places where you're regrowing the same bullshit that they're selling you in the store. And then we wonder why we're in such health crises and this sort of thing. So just the idea of being able to offer something where you're growing nutritive food instead of dead food with no life force energy is something that is so well needed here. We do a lot of shows on health, and everything gets back to the diet. What are you putting in your body? And then you see people like, oh, I'm vegetarian. Well, you've popped on over to the Walmart and got your food, though. And it says organic, but they're in hermetically sealed packets. So what did you do to this lettuce to make it survive this 3-month train trip or whatever, and it's still crispy green? That to me is not, that's organic. It's not the real thing. I don't think we even appreciate what real food tastes like. Me, I probably have never even had it, to be honest. I've got so many food allergies because the stuff I'm eating isn't food. You aren't meant to be allergic to the food that's here on the earth. That's mental. I want to bring the guys in to talk a little bit about, you mentioned solar energy and utilizing the free energy or natural resources to sustain these sort of projects. John Carl, she's mentioned solar. Would there be applications for using like the solar effect generator or the quag in these types of scenarios so that we don't have to depend on wires and electric grids?
I love how he
Absolutely.
said he's not techie a little while ago.
Right? And but yet he put all this together,
I
see? So
know. We don't.
oh hush.
There's,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And that to me is the beauty of the time that we're in, as I keep saying, is that we're going back to the future. I mean, we're moving ahead steadily and with great momentum, and it can't be stopped. However, we're embracing those things that again have been suppressed or forgotten or hidden, because everything that happened before the current age of, I guess, modernity is not rubbish. I mean, there's good stuff that's been long left to fall to the wayside. And it's time that we embrace those things and then utilize what we can to move forward. And it's at the marriage of the two, finding that balance, that's going to create the greatest impact for our future generations, I feel. Elaine, were you going to say something? Oh.
yeah, I was just going to say one thing about what John was saying about the aeration. The the issue with using just falling water, we have found, is that the stocking density of fish that you need in order to be able to get your nutrient levels high enough for your plants to be able to access sufficient nutrients for growth that you want, the growth rates that you want, that the stocking density is too high to be able to rely on just falling water for aeration. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? All right. Okay. I mean, well, we've had some issues. We actually had an issue back a few months ago where we did lose some fish due to a power outage. We have a battery backup for the aeration system, and the battery backup only lasts for 4 hours. The power was out for 9, and we lost some fish as a result due to oxygen deprivation. We are putting in a new aeration system, which runs from off of a regenerative blower, and this one blower, which only draws 4 amps, will deliver air to all 9 of the fish tanks. And we are putting in a battery backup for this, and then we have a secondary backup, which is a small generator. So the battery backup will give us 4 hours or so. Beyond that, that gives us time to get to the garden, get the generator fired up, and then we plug it into the generator, which just needs to be topped up with fuel once every 12 hours. So if we have a long period of time without power, this is before we get the solar system in. Obviously, once we get the solar system in, this backup won't be so necessary. We would only need to use it in the times of a hurricane when we need to take the solar panels down. So yeah. Yeah, in fact, you can use for a home system something that works very well is what they call an airlift pump, where you actually use a small aeration device to move the water, and that aerates the water at the same time. So you don't need to have a separate aerator and pump. Yeah.
Oh, there's
Absolutely.
hope for me then.
No,
Elaine, I want to give you a chance before, just so that doesn't slip my mind. You mentioned a lot of times that you can absolutely use support. So, do you have a website or a PayPal or a link or somewhere where you're able to collect energetic support in the term of financial contributions? Where can people do that if they'd like to support you?
Well, we have two websites at the moment. One is more active than the other. The Lowlands Community Garden site, so it's lowlandscommunitygarden.com. There is actually a Contribute Now button right on the homepage that is linked to our PayPal account, and we also accept Bitcoin. So we also have a Bitcoin wallet. So people, anybody who wants to contribute in the form of Bitcoin, we can send the wallet identifier, and they can just send us Bitcoin. So we're quite accessible. We have a Facebook page which is quite active, and a newsletter supporters list as well. So we're reaching out, but beyond, it's mostly local. So on an international level, really the website would be the way to go. And yeah, lowlandscommunitygarden.com.
Okay, that's beautiful because people are going to be interested, and so not only do they want to learn, I'm sure there are people that want to contribute to your success as well because there's that adage that says you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach him to fish. Well, you can teach him now to fish, grow fish, and plants all in the same caboodle. So that's just amazing, and we want to definitely offer our support to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, my angel. John Carl, I know you guys are going to pinch hit for me right now because Dave isn't here. How long are we doing? An hour or 2 hours? Okay, so Dave's not here. But I hear that he's setting up a community garden, food forest type situation in Peru. Which of you can tell me all about that?
How big of a space is he working with?
Yeah, there's pictures of it on the post. Yeah. Okay, this might sound like a really dumb question, but it's from a novice. That would be me. So I want to know. So if you were in a place, say Ireland or like in London, where there's not a lot of sun, can a unit, this sort of system, be set up indoors with artificial lighting as a light source? Well, yes, I do. I know, but like when it gets cold, things freeze and then they're dead. So I thought we were talking about options for year-round growing. I don't know. Is this the wrong way to ask it? Oh, okay. Well, I like that. I love that there's always options, and I like that you guys are so very good at going over these things that seem insurmountable, or like maybe that's really hard or impossible. So, and I know you brought up the issue of fish having, different species of fish having different climate preferences or such. I want to give Elaine an opportunity to weigh in on that topic.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything John said, that you select a species of fish that is suitable for your location. We're quite fortunate in the tropics that we have some wonderful fish that we can run in systems. We can put in catfish as well. We can also put in the most amazing fish from Australia, which is called the barramundi. And in fact, we will be stocking some of one of the ponds at the second community garden with barramundi. It's a carnivorous fish, and as we're going to be applying permaculture techniques to how we manage those ponds, we will need to have carnivorous fish in there to control the tilapia population, because tilapia breed indiscriminately, rapidly, and so we will incorporate some carnivorous fish in there to keep that under control. So yes, absolutely choosing a fish that is right for your location. In Australia, they use perch. They have the jade perch there as well, which they use in more southern climates in Australia. But in the United States, there's been a project that's in Milwaukee. It began in Milwaukee. A guy by the name of Will Allen started a project there some years ago called Growing Power. And he is now turning out massive amounts of food from an urban lot in Milwaukee. And Growing Power is now extending to other cities around the US. And it's specifically urban food production. They use a combination of growing techniques, including aquaponics as one of those. They use, they've got wormiculture is called going on there as well, and all kinds of stuff happening. But they are, over the years, they have found those growing systems that work best for their location, which is an urban lot in Milwaukee, which I believe, although I've never been there, gets quite cold at times.
Oh,
So-
yes, that's Wisconsin. That's very, very cold. Very, very cold. They need to have some salmon running. That would be amazing. I was gonna say that's a good thing, right? Build up, yeah.
The other thing that we have found is solids can be an issue in aquaponics. You have to manage your solids. Because the primary nutrient value for the plants comes from the respiration of the fish. If they actually produce ammonia as a byproduct from their respiratory process through their gills. The solids are where we derive the minerals from. So you get a lot of the mineralization of your solids. This is where having flood and drain beds in your system works very well, because they work also as biofilters. So you can actually filter out some of the solids into the flood and drain beds, and if you put some red wriggler worms in there, they will do a great job of breaking those fish solids down and releasing the minerals that then can be carried by the water to the rest of your growing areas. We also putting in, just now we're putting in to, because the aeration, the amount of aeration that we need to put in a commercial size system, we need to have a solid separation system in there as well, because that aeration will suspend those solids in the water. And if that gets carried around to some of the plant growing areas, it clogs up the roots of the plants and prevents the roots from being able to access oxygen. So, which is another thing you need to do. You have to make sure the roots don't just get water and nutrients; they have to get oxygen as well. So, so we're putting in a solid separation system, which is quite simple. It's just a mechanical swirl filter. We're actually using a 55-gallon drum and 3-inch PVC pipe to carry the water. The pump, the water runs from 2 tanks through the separator, and then the pump drawing water out of the 3rd tank lowers that level, and by siphon it pulls the water through the separator. And the solids then swirl, the water swirls gently around in the separator, and the solids gather in the middle and fall to the bottom. So we can get about... There you go.
That's what the commercial said. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that system will work at removing about 50% of the solids, and then in a corner of the tank where the pump is, where the water comes out of the separator into that tank, is going to be a cage containing old shade cloth, part of the shade cloth that we lost in a recent hurricane. So we cut that nylon mesh up and we put it in there, and that collects the remainder of the solids and also helps to act again as the mineralization process. The water running through that net with the solids in it helps to release the minerals to make them available to the plants. The only real additional minerals we need to add are iron. We add chelated iron to the system because fish do not produce iron, and plants need iron for their chlorophyll in the same way that we need iron for our blood. It actually performs the same process in plants. In fact, if you look at the molecular, the structure of chlorophyll, and you compare it to the structure of blood, it's very, very similar. That very, very close. So we add iron, and we add, from time to time, we add organic sulfate of potash, which comes from kelp, comes from seaweed. This provides additional potassium for fruiting plants. And one of the reasons we have 3 different systems is that we can provide 3 different nutrient levels to grow different kinds of plants. So one system we add more potassium than for the fruiting plants, because they need it for flowering and fruiting, than we add to the systems that are growing the leafy greens. So this way we can grow a wider variety. As you said earlier, John, plants have very different nutrient requirements. And we also have this great little device. Excuse me for just a minute while I stand up.
Okay.
This wonderful little thing here that I'll get out of its bag. This was recommended to us by a friend of ours who was in a previous time. He's now a bit of a salvage expert and sailor. He's cruising around with his family on board a yacht, and he's here in St. Martin. At his time as an organic producer, he used to use one of these. This is called a refractometer, and it has a prism in here. And what you do is you squeeze a little bit of juice from your tomato or your cucumber, or if you're using something that is woody, you use a garlic press, and you put it in a garlic press and you squish it until you get a bit of juice come out. You drop the juice onto this little glass plate that's here, and then you put this little cover over the top, and you point it at the sun. And you look through here, this end, you look at one end of it, and you point it at the sun, and you will see a scale inside there. And that scale gives you a reading, a numerical reading. And some time ago, there was a person who came up with what they call the BRICS readings, the BRICS charts. These BRICS readings are an indication of the nutrient value of your plants. So what you do is you compare your BRICS reading that you get from your numerical reading you get from your little device here with your BRICS reading from a given chart, and you know then whether or not you've got good quality produce or not, and that helps you with being able to tweak your nutrient levels that you're putting into the system. So if you're not getting enough nutrients, you've either got too many plants or not enough fish. And you can play around with that by being able to test your produce so that you know how good it is, because you can
have one of those and go through any retail wholesale grocer and just show them. I would just love to be the one who did that.
That's shocking. It's absolutely shocking to if you go. I mean, I was just about to say, you can have the rosiest, most wonderful looking apple on the planet, and it can have 0 nutrient value.
Oh yeah, it's apple-like. It's not apple. It looks like in a coloring book. Go ahead, Cameron.
There's actually a document in the Congressional Hall that tells people, so that they're legally covered, that all mass-produced agriculture in the United States is devoid of all minerals and nutrients. That's
according to the Codex. It has to be, because minerals and nutrients are considered toxins, so that's why they are meant to be removed. And so they're doing you a favor because they know what's good for you. Gee, thanks,
yeah.
Right?
So we yeah, I mean we're very focused here in St. Martin on growing quality produce with the minimum inputs. And this is what we want to reach out to the local communities here to be able to set up these small gardens. So what we've done is we've created a mechanism by which they can contact us. We reach out to them through the schools and through local media, and through showing what we are doing. We have regular open days and other fundraising events here. One of the local what we call Koyman. What do you call Koyman? Like hardware store, local hardware store. They host for us. We have a wish list drive there, so we set up outside every now and again, and that enables us to raise a lot of awareness on Saturday morning of people going to the hardware store, and they're going there to buy gardening products, some of them. So we're reaching there too. Ultimately, we would invite any community here to approach us with their plan for a garden. All they need to do is to be able to show that they have a piece of land that they can use, and we will help them with their business plan. We will help them with their the skills with seeds. We're creating our own seed bank here. We only non-GMO seeds. That's one of the great things about living on an island, is that we can isolate our genetic material here if we wish to. It's not going to come. There's no political will to do so. They're not interested in agriculture here whatsoever, because so many of the people engaged in politics derive part of their revenue from shipping produce to the island. They run the grocery stores. They
and the transport companies and the gas that it takes. I mean, they've got every base covered. I want to get also, before I forget, Linda brought up an excellent point. You're talking about raising awareness and sharing this information and open sourcing. If someone is interested, a community or an individual or a commercial or whatever it is, do you have a place that you have schematics or designs available so that people can replicate this sort of setup that you have and arrange it in their own space?
We are working on that now. We have one of our volunteers is a draftsman. He's actually quite busy at the moment, but he is scheduling time to actually put the drawings, actually measure up our systems and create actual drawings that somebody could replicate. So we are working on that. However, I would say there's one thing, that really every location is going to have its own, is going to dictate how you design your system. So what we have done here may not necessarily be the most efficient or effective way of running an aquaponic system somewhere else. So whilst we're more than happy to consult,
though, right? Okay.
I'm sorry?
I said, but you're available to be consulted. So if someone is like not in your location, you're open for that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're absolutely happy to share our experiences, and this is all about holding hands here across the world to free ourselves from this poisonous food-like product system that we are being force-fed on a daily basis, and localizing our economy is also a big thing here. Our again, small island developing states, we have a number of them here in the Caribbean, and they're all over the world, are very, very vulnerable, and many of them are not are not food secure. They have been over the in previous colonial times. They've been growing cash crops for export, and still their land is pretty much engaged in doing that, if they're growing anything. A lot of them now are pretty much turned over to tourism. We here in St. Martin have pretty much a single pillar tourism economy. It's very, very fragile, and economically we're being hit quite hard here in the last 2 years. But we're in a situation where our grocery stores on the island, their markup, their normal markup in a grocery store is around 40%. So for every dollar that every person in St. Martin goes into the local grocery store and spends on fresh produce that could be grown here, at least 60 cents of that dollar is leaving the island.
Wow.
So we are hemorrhaging money here, and although we'd love to get away from a money system, we are still stuck in this currency system at the moment, and we're trying through localizing our food economy to keep as much as possible.
You're not trying. There is no try.
We're doing
it.
We're doing.
You're doing it brilliantly.
We have a long way to go with only 2 community gardens and a lot of communities, but we're getting there.
But that's what transition is about. It's that middle road. It's how to get from A to B. There's got to be a bridge to paradise, right, Kimmy? So you are part of one of those architects of that bridge to paradise, because you can't go from what we have to what we want to have without moving through a phase to get there. So that's absolutely brilliant to see you doing it, not just talking about it or writing about it or sharing links. You're doing it, and there's no no better inspiration than seeing it happen. So you don't have to be convincing anybody because here, look, I don't have to talk about it. Here, step into my parlor, sort of thing.
Well,
So we appreciate that.
At some time, at some time, sorry, just one thing. At some time in the future, we would very much like to be able to do something on one of these radio and even video connections globally from one of the gardens. We're in the tropics; it gets dark quite early down here, but it's not 5. But we'd be able to get about an hour of light in, so we might, in the future, even be able to incorporate that into one of the shows.
That'd be awesome. John, go ahead. Wow. Wow. That's brilliant. Did anybody else want to weigh in or have a question for Elaine or a comment?
How long have you been at it now? How long have you guys been working on this project?
Well, my very, very first aquaponics system was built here outside my tiny apartment. I used an old refrigerator as the fish tank because here in the Caribbean we have to keep the water cool because otherwise it can get quite hot. It's a south-facing wall, so it is a very hot spot. So I had an old refrigerator. I turned on its back. I ripped the guts out of it. I plugged up the holes with aquarium sealant and turned it into a fish tank and had a tiny little pump in there and some grow beds made out of Rubbermaid tubs with some media in there, some vulcanized rock, and I grew a whole bunch of stuff. And that was my training ground, was actually doing it, getting stuck in and making one of these little systems. It was very simple, and we ran that system for about a year and a half. And we got things like melons out of it. We got so much stuff. It was amazing. And because you can put climbing, because you kind of layer your growing. So you can grow things that grow on the surface and then things that grow taller and then climbers that grow out to the side. So you can put so much stuff in one of these systems. And we grew loads and loads of things there. And then we, as I say, we took out the lease on the greenhouse in July of 2013. We commenced clearing it with pretty much volunteer labor through the summer months, which was really hot because there was no shade top on the top of it. So we were up there at 6 o'clock in the morning though we didn't cook at lunchtime. And then we fired up the first system. We turned the first pump on in January of this year in the first system. So we're still very, very much in the early stages.
And
pretty much all of the seed money from this has come from our members, our memberships, and their support, our wonderful CSA members who have believed in us from the get-go and put money up front for a project that didn't have anything except an empty greenhouse. And they've stayed with us, and it's absolutely fantastic. And the fundraisers that we've held. But we're still kind of living hand to mouth up there. It's still that we put in systems and we upgrade and we modify and we add things as we can afford. Oh, we need to get this right. We've got to somehow make another $100 so that we can buy a piece of equipment to go in here. So
story of every race show on the planet right now, but the universe is going to take care of you because you're doing it right.
Yeah, and then last month we got hit by a Category 2 hurricane. At least we know that our aquaponic systems are Category 2 hurricane proof. They came through with just one small break that took us 10 minutes with a screwdriver to fix. So that was it. And,
that's amazing. I have a very novice sort of question for you, Elaine, because I am, as you can, my thumbs are brown, and I think that's for a reason. I can't grow anything. I've never really been good at that, but I'm willing to learn. But I have a question. In my mind, I'm trying to work out, I see the pictures and the images of the gardens, and I see the tube structures and all this, and the plants are growing out of them. Okay, you tell me you're growing trees though. So trees stay in these tubes? I'm thinking of a tree. Like how big do you take the seedlings out and do you have to put them someplace else, or is the life of the plant spent in this aquaponic system, no matter how big it gets?
Well, yeah, as John said earlier, you do put different plants in different locations, and the trees that we have in there are in the media beds, in the flood and drain beds. You can grow a papaya in these.
Wow.
We start off plants in there, so we've got some starfruit trees growing in as babies. They will be planted out into the edible landscape, but they start in the system and they'll go out later. The moringa trees that we have in there, the moringa is quite an amazing plant. It grows 10 to 15 feet in a year.
Yes.
It grows hugely quickly. We love it because it's drought tolerant, so we can plant it in some really marginal land and it's fine. But similarly, it also is quite happy in a water environment. It grows quite well, very, very well. It's very happy in the flood and drain bed, and actually have a sort of mini moringa forest in there. The bed that we have them in at the moment, and we will be replicating this, is 8 feet long. These are only about 3'6" wide. That we've moved them to 4 foot. They're going to be 8 by 4 in the new systems we're building. And these beds, the trees are cut when they get to about 18 inches tall. So we just cut the top off, and then it grows like a bush.
Okay.
And every 3 weeks we can harvest. So we just go in and we cut it all off again, and 3 weeks later it's back. So with 3 beds, each with a little mini moringa forest in it, we can be harvesting moringa every week. And it's
for that explanation.
It's good not just for fish food, but it's good for people food too.
Oh, absolutely. We have one of the doctors, Dr. Jeremy Ayers, who is in Barbados. You probably are aware of him. He worked really closely with Dave and also with Darko Velchek. And he is like the champion of moringa. And he's got a project, it's a side project, the Naturally Better Clinic that's going in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And one of our angels who's working there she planted, like you said, a mini moringa forest. And it was very arid there. The ground was not in good condition. And with just a little bit of, turning the ground, she didn't do a lot of work. She's not using the aquaponic system, but she was just astounded at the rate and the growth of these trees and how they sustain themselves on literally very little attention. And I mean, within a few weeks, they were 18 inches tall. And she was like, "We just planted. I can't believe this." And then the health benefits that because they implement the moringa as the holistic part of the treatments that they offer at the Naturally Better Clinic. So it's just amazing that you happen to have mentioned that plant because it's one that we speak about very, very often.
Yeah, it's an amazing plant, and it's wonderful here in the Caribbean because, as you say, it grows just about anywhere. It grows very fast. The nutritional value of just every part of it is amazing. And the other very important aspect of the moringa is that the flowers are incredible pollinator attractors. The bees, the hummingbirds, they love moringa flowers. So they're very good for that too. So we actually, although we are cropping the moringa in the aquaponic systems quite regularly, and it doesn't actually grow big enough to flower, we are planting the trees that will mature to mature trees around the area to bring the pollinators in. And moringa will be a critical plant in the food forest that we're just beginning. On Monday we will be there planting our very first plants. So we're very
pictures.
Absolutely, pictures will be coming.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. John, any comments, questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Carl, you the man.
Actually, I really don't
We gotta
know
wake him
much
up.
about refrigerator. I know you know a bit about it, John. Uh-huh. Yeah,
That's
I know
that's
15
You know not to
kilowatt
ask me.
generator will run a couple of houses. Yeah.
I think they said that was the smallest one they made. That it wasn't the only one. It was just the smallest one.
What the professor offered was that he would partner with or team up with, advise, consult, and keep abreast of what's going on. Any groups, no matter where, that are interested in this technology, and that he would be more than happy to work with the teams in Peru, so that when it comes available, that he would, like I said, make sure that everyone's on the front lines of being able to access that technology. Now, did he commit to giving them one? No, I didn't hear him say that, but he's more than willing to be available to as a team consultant, and to, like I said, along with Vosa, to keep everyone informed as to the availability of this product, and so many others. He was naming things I hadn't even heard of, so don't make me misquote him. But there's just so much technology that he is on the cutting edge of, that it's just waiting to be released. It's not things that they're just currently working on. There's plenty that he's already developed and prototyped, that he's just waiting for people to say, okay, yes, we're ready. We would like to receive this.
You have to
Yeah.
get Bossa on the show to find out how much a unit costs. And I know they said on the marketing video that none of the parts will ever have to be replaced, which how nice is that? Like it's just
I
something.
know, no planned obsolescence there.
Yeah, it's literally just like the galaxy. It just the planets keep spinning. So, yeah.
Hi. Absolutely glad to meet you all. Sorry, my English is not so fast.
You're doing fine, love. Don't worry.
Thank you, thank you. I'm here in Germany, but I must tell you, I don't feel very well here because I've been living in Egypt and Thailand. And after 32 years here, it's quite weird energetically. So I miss Egypt a lot. There, I discovered my energy healing. And I had lost my job actually overnight after I was assigned into Reiki. And I met Akmal. Some people maybe know Akmal. He's the friend of Dave. And I worked in their spa. I started there to work as a freelancer after I lost my job overnight in Luxembourg, where I lived before. And that was in 2007. I moved over to Egypt. So I left everything back in Europe. I went there with nothing and started to work as doing Reiki in different spas, doing healing. And then I met Akmal, and he pointed out to go to Thailand to learn a certain Tao healing treatment. He said, go have a look on the internet, and just take a look, and then you will decide. And I saw the place, and I immediately jumped on it. I said, that's where I want to go. That's what I'm going to do. I read about it. So I went there, I think it was 2-3 months later. And I went on a month course to Thailand to learn about this called Chi Nai Tang. And it's a energetic organ massage or belly abdominal massage. And started my case studies, which took 1 year. I went back to Egypt, and mainly I've been doing that in the desert with Bedouins, with all kind of people for very little money, just to get 200 case studies together. It took me about 1 year. Then I went back to Thailand, and I done my diploma. And yeah, I've done a lot of good healings on my path. And then at the end, then I travel a lot back and forth. The last time I was staying in Egypt, then I had a man, actually Akmal, came with visitors, and they wanted to introduce me. So we got connected, and there were 2, 3 young men, and one stayed with the man who was buying a villa there, and they came to visit me. And then they started to talk, and he had pain, so I touched him, and everything was fine. They left, and 2 days later, they called me from the hospital, and they said, "We need to come. We need to come. There's an emergency." I said, "What is going on?" So he said he has an appendix. He needs to be operated. He doesn't want to go to Cairo. It's 500 kilometers away. He wants to come to you. I said, "I'm not a doctor." "Yes, he can do it. You can do it." He said he came out from your place. He had no more pain. So what do you want me to do? So, and I hear something like a voice from above, "Whatever I put in front of you, you can do." And I agreed to receive him. They bring him to me, and I sent them away. And I'm just a channel. I don't know really what happened. I just used moxa. You know what is moxa? No, moxa is used also. It's a herb that's burned in the Chinese medicine. You can tap it in. They used to put it on the acupuncture needles, but now these days you can. It's used differently. It comes in a cigar. It's pressed herbs, and it's healing. So I use that for an appendix. I mean, heat. Who would do that? Black cumin oil. And just with my hands, I've done the spiral movement. And then I on my path, while I was doing treatments, I discovered that when I ask, it just comes natural, asking people questions, it triggers out the emotion and it releases the body. So that's all I've been doing. And after 2.5 hours maximum, I think they picked him up. He was very, very tired. And he slept the whole next day, and 2, 3 days later, he was completely okay. There was no operation, yeah. And I had, during my case studies for the Chinai I had people, like a woman came in, she could not get pregnant. So it's like in Chinese medicine, you have to fill out a form to understand what's happening and to get an idea. And I looked at the face and the signs and speaking. So I discovered that she had many other problems. I said, forget about the baby. I said, we need to speak about something else. So, and through the treatments and through the speaking, I discovered that she had diabetes. She was taking antidepressive pills. She had problems with her husband, and there was another woman involved. But the thing was, at the end, she stopped the pills. The diabetes was curing, and she got pregnant. Things like that. So I had alcoholics. They sent that to me. I was doing also meditation from the hotel. I used to give Tai Chi lessons for the foreigners in the hotel at the beach. And I was paying my rent from that. I'm not a professional Tai Chi master, not at all. But with this, I was paying my rent. And so I took the guest home and we done meditation. It's also a Dao meditation, and I gained clients through that. So there were people, they had cancer. And so, it was wonderful healings. Then privately, I was having friends. They were European. The woman got pregnant. And she wants to do Tai Chi. So in the night they came to my roof and we were practicing Tai Chi for a little money. And then when she had the child, I saw her only after the child was born because she went back. It was amazing. It's a crystal child. The child looked at me like smiling. The eyes are big and said, wow, he knows you, you know, and he never does that. And it was such a warm feeling, you know. And then also on the internet, I discovered about the shift on the internet. I didn't know anything about it. It just got it through the internet. And I don't know if anybody knows Jim Self. He's teaching alchemy.
He's amazing.
He's teaching the rose tool. So I had friends that were working in the hotel, and they said, "Oh, Dr. Elke is coming." So we had once a week we had the conference, and they're just private, doing like visit and laughing. So there was a young man. He was gay, and he had big problems, and had an infection. He said, I was at the doctor, but the pain doesn't go away. So I said, okay, I just learned this tool on the internet. I said, okay, we will try something. Would you like to do that? Okay. So he just sat there. I said, close your eyes. And I started talking to him and I told him what to do with the rose tool. And I was scanning him off as well with my eyes with the rose. And a few hours later, after I got back, they called me. They said, what did you do with him? He's like on seventh heaven. He's smiling. He's eating the first time for with appetite, and since months he stopped smoking. He was completely changed. So things like that. I just do it.
Energy. Everything is energy. The more people figure this out, the more people like you are going to be needed in this world.
Yeah, here in Germany, it's quite difficult for me because of the laws. And what happened to me was that it's a long story, and why I lost my job, and there was a lot of other things involved. I had enough. I looked behind the system. I said, "This cannot be. It's all corrupted." And I just left everything, and I put everything in storage, and I just left. I said, I have enough of these structures, and they are corruptive. I lost my job overnight for whatever reason. I don't know.
That's why. I mean, to get you on your path, you had
yeah. So and
decided to
before,
align with your soul, and that's what happens.
yeah, before that, I've been married to an African from Nigeria, and I've had to find out that he was from the African mafia, and I had to work undercover with the I had no support. I had to make him go out of my apartment because we just married, and I found this out. I broke into his emails, and I found out information that he was about developing something military and all. So I was scared to death. And actually, I had a nervous breakdown it took about 2-3 years until I had divorced. I was threatened. My life was threatened. The police wouldn't help me. The Euro didn't do anything. I had to investigate for them, hidden. I had to intend to be nice to him and to make him move out. And it took all my energy. I had a burnout I didn't realize. And then this came I lost my banking job. I had a good banking job. I lost that one overnight, and I was really down on the ground. And I used to travel to the States a lot to my Native American mom. She adopted me. I couldn't do this either anymore because I then had fibromyalgia. So since this time, I look for help because I realized I had these operations for nothing. It was not, absolutely not necessary. So I looked behind all the system. I look behind religion because I've been also in boarding school. non boarding school too, actually. My brother, he got raped there from the priests, and I had my shares too. The family was split. I have 3 brothers, and I'm the only girl. There were many things happening in my life, and I actually never spoke that open to so many people at once. It's just
Yep.
Embraced and welcomed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And those life changes that you went through that you keep saying, I hear you say, I don't know why this happened. It happened to free you up because the universe needs you, not to be in a bank,
know
not to
that.
be sat behind a desk. So they
Yeah,
need your talents. And
yeah,
if you've ever heard of GEN, which is the Global Eco Village Network, exactly what John is sharing to you, you can go on there and register as whatever you have to offer, whether you want to be an apprentice somewhere, whether you want to live in a community and exchange your gifts for a place to live. Like there's every scenario you can think of. You can go there to work for pay. You can go and buy property. There's all kinds of options globally. So if you
yeah,
go on, I think it's the globalecovillage.network.org, and you can register, and then that way you can stay on the forefront and be connected with communities that are welcoming this type of gift that you have. Because everything, you don't have to go to university to get skills that are marketable. People
yeah.
need what you do.
Yeah, because what threw me off my shoes was the death of my parents 4 years ago, both at the same time. I was doing a lot of healing. I didn't see them for quite some time before this happened. I was actually on my way to Thailand to make my Dao teacher. In the treatment I was studying, and got caught up in Germany, and to see my parents like this because my father had Alzheimer's, very heavy, and I experienced the old psychiatry here in Europe, including my father like this. It was not in a nice way. I've done it all by myself. I had no support. I helped my mother. I was here for 2-3 months, and then I went back to Thailand, and I was under such a trauma for what was going on. So I wasn't aware of it, and I just broke. I couldn't make the test, the physical test. I quit. I was under traumatized, and they tried to help me, but it wasn't working, and I just left back again. But I couldn't stay with my mother for all the trauma I that happened there and from my childhood. And I went back to the desert, but I told her I would come back and forth, and I wanted her to come with me. But 10 days after she agreed, I mean, I've done a lot of healing with my mother and with my father.
Have you
And
been healing
I
yourself?
was actually the only one who had access to my dad during his Alzheimer's. Even the hospital wouldn't be able to deal with him. I was the only one. And so I went back, and 10 days after my mother, she had an accident and she died from that. And I knew my dad would follow, so I was still in Egypt, and I said, "Dad, wait for me, I will come." And I gave him assistance with Reiki. The day after already, his lungs he was breathing good. The day after, he was breathing better. But I involved my my Reiki master because he's working. I needed assistance. It was too much. I was living in the house alone. There was blood. It was awful. And he said he spoke with him and that he was able to go now, because I told him he doesn't want to go. And he said that's because of the children there, you know, my brothers, and they don't accept me. So he done that, and then 2 days later he died, and that was on the day of the revolution in Egypt. And I went back 2 days after. He was buried only 6 or 8 weeks later, but I wasn't prepared to stay so long. So I suffered a lot from that. I felt guilty, and it really took off my shoes. And since then, I hardly, after that, I done the healing with the appendix healing, but then afterwards, I done only a few treatments. Since this time I'm here in Europe. Now I have no more money. I'm actually here where I was last with my mother. I have nothing to do here. It's not the place where I want to be.
It sounds like you ended up on this call.
They are very pulling down because there are lots of earth holes here. And it's very negative place here, and lots of people. When I've been with my mother, where I've been born, we went. I helped her with everything. I went to the town hall, and I speak about my energy healing to the man responsible, and he said, wow, now I understand why from Frankfurt the people are coming to Mülheim, that's where I'm born, to suicide. And there's a lot of people coming from the city in this place because there's a lot of war has happened here with the Nazis and a lot of bombing. And just where I live here, there's a lot of holes in the earth, in the back, I don't like this place here, and I want to go out, but I got lost here, you understand? So my brother, I called him, and I was in Luxembourg with a Facebook friend coming from Egypt. And I lived there for a while, and there I started to channel down information from the Huichol, the native, the American, the Indians, and I don't know, started to channel, and I started to follow a new path. Instead of a healer, I was channeling. And then I called my brother because I couldn't stand it there anymore. I said, what am I doing here? So, and then I called him, and he said, yeah, come here. So, and there were confrontations, and they throw me out of the house because they don't believe in what I do. So, and since this time I live in this apartment, but it's a very small apartment, but I run around here like in circles, and I don't know what I'm doing here.
Why don't you set the intention to leave then?
Yeah, I need to. I realized I was in the wrong space. I followed my emotions. I've done karma healing. I went to a lot of seminars before this all happened, like ancestor healing. And I remember that she said that sometimes it's better also we don't earn some money from the people who died. And it's actually true. It was like a magnet here. And I discovered that I had slept north with my head for 3 years. I thought I was going mad.
Yeah.
It's also known in the Egyptian culture that when you sleep towards north with your head, you start in you see power and your soul. The bloodstream is going in the wrong direction. Two positive sides, they work against each other. And this is what I experienced. My body there was completely hard. And I'm just coming out of it now, but the people here, they don't get this. It's just, So I met a group in Frankfurt. They follow a certain guru. I started to meditate with them. And when I'm with them, I feel much better because the people around me here, they don't they don't know about all these things. They don't believe in these. So now I started to become better. I got back to meditation because in Egypt I'd done it all the time. I was in my power. Yeah, I was alone all my life. I've been living alone. I've been alone in the desert with the horse at night. No problem. But here in Germany, it's like it was finished. So, and then through Akmal, I got in contact with Dave, and this just happened recently now, since the past 2 days.
Maybe your prayers are being answered right now.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Surround you with some positivity and uplifting, because it sounds like you're sort of spiraling in the story, the things that have happened to you, instead of seeing them each as stepping stones toward a goal or a place that you can't imagine just yet. Because I still hear, and I'm very empathic, I feel the pain in your story as you tell it. And until that pain is released, you're going to always feel like you're trapped, because you know, as a Reiki master, you know that's not true. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. And we will remind you of that every time you talk to us. We'll all tell you that you're not stuck, and we'll always support you. So maybe that's the reason for your connecting with us. Yeah.
I try to leave this place, and every time I've been in Egypt a few times, and I meant to stay away, but this was like a magnet. And as soon I go out, I feel good again. But when I come back here 2 weeks after, it goes down again. It's this place. When I'm Bashar, yeah.
Abraham Hicks as well. A lot of it, yeah.
Abraham Hicks is probably better at controlling.
This is what I did with people as well, the way she's doing, because I assisted people as well, just in speaking instead of like the regular healing, because I know it's just, I've done, since I left Egypt, I go through this psychics. I developed my psychic to be able to look behind the patterns. This is what I'm talking about, karma healing, to understand how the karma is created. I discovered, I manifested, for example, a healing practitioner here to assist me. I gave the information to her, and we discovered that I had genetically tuberculosis. It was passed on tuberculosis genetically. So we were able to release my body from certain genetic issues. Yeah. And allergies as well. Yeah. So, and through that, I was assisting, my psychic started to develop. I started to speak with people from Egypt over the internet. But even though when I went back to visit, I understand, because when people are together, like with families, I'm able to help them. I can look behind patterns where they come from, and it just happens though. So I've been assisting people with children, for example. She called me and, there is a problem, and then I realized, look, the child is sitting between two chairs, because I've been going through that myself has been walking through that, so I know it.
Can you imagine?
Cami, do you want to offer something? Go ahead, Cam.
Can you imagine that in the environment you're in, being a perceived environment that is the harshest environment, that you can't thrive there, is your perception? Can you imagine that maybe you've been put in that environment to master yourself, because there's no greater way to do that than to be in really strong contrast. So if you can master your emotions and your focus and the story you're telling and you're manifesting and your everything under those conditions, when you actually get out of those conditions, you're gonna fly. And also these entities, these energies that you're accessing to heal other people, don't forget that you can ask them to help you get into other situations, get into other communities. I mean, they have more power. We tend to lean on ourselves a little too much and forget that we have a whole universe and a whole family of energy out there around
that
us.
are waiting to be commanded, not even about
Waiting to do
asking,
that.
because asking
Right.
leaves the open for no. The
Yeah.
answer's never no. You tell the universe
Yep.
what you want, and literally you have cores of angelics and all sorts of beings that you can't perceive with your five senses
I've been
necessarily
out there.
that are
I've
there
been
for
out
you.
there. I've
You
been
can't-
out
you're
there, but
forgetting
every time I
something
come
for
back in
yourself,
this
though.
place here, the willpower went down.
Well, all you have to do is remember to set the intention and ask for help. It's really
That's
that,
what I do. Yeah, that's what I do.
and you actually received some help here on this call that you should follow
Exactly.
up on, because it
Yeah.
could it could change in the blink of an eye. You find a community and you're out of there next week.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
I have seen when I was out, I met once an elder, a Canadian elder, and she said you got to get out of there before you get sick, and that happened.
Yes.
I have a burnout, so I lost a lot of weight, and my health went down. This
Yep.
is the
That's true. But what Cammie's saying is very, very important for you to just sit with, because no matter where you go, there you are. So
Yeah.
wherever you go, you're going to take your brain with you. And you've
Yeah,
got to get above that, because no matter, I mean, I understand you tying it to a location. It's not the location. It's not. That's just the story you're telling yourself.
Right.
But we got to cut you short, because we've got come to the end of the show, and I just want to say thank you to the entire panel for sitting together and sharing, as I love to do. This is what I call tribe vibing. There's nothing like it. Co-creation at its very best. I want to absolutely extend my thanks, my honor, my gratitude to Elaine and the whole team over there in St. Martin doing what you do. And that's what inspires others to know that they can as well. I want to thank the techie man, because without John, I would not be seeing any of you right now. You wouldn't be seeing me, because I'd be sat somewhere else on Skype wondering what's going on. So, and I want to thank you, Cammie, for coming in. Linda, thank you for your time. Rose, when you see this, thank you for popping on. We appreciate all of you. Elka, thank you for sharing your personal journey. And Carl, I need you to tell me when you're in Peru, because I've got a list of some pictures and stuff I need you to take. And then, and we will be on the move. But until then, same time, this same place next week. We enjoy you so very much. Tune into Expanding You Radio every Friday for Mission Impossible Global, and Saturdays on the One Network for Mission Impossible Peru. This is India Irene saying good day.
Great job. I'm going to tell you.
Can
Thank
I
you.
get this address? Can I get this address from the clothing, please?
Someone dropped it in the chat. Do you know how to open the chat?
Let me check.
Is it for the Gen Network?
And
And there's
the intentional communities directory I put in there too.
yes, the IC, I think .com, and then also there's another one.
Look up chat at the bottom of your screen.
That? Here is the
Chat. Look at chat at the
no,
bottom.
I have it, but I look for the message.
Oh, okay. There. Let's see.
Is that the one?
Okay, ecovillage.org is the one for the Global Eco Village Network.
Okay, I see.
And let me look.
Yeah.
IC.org is the other one.
Org. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. You got it?
Yeah. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We
thank
love
you.
you. We love you. And
All
thank
our
you.
love.
Hey,
We love you.
And
Thank you so much.
India and Cammie,
Yes.
if you want to learn about Sue, just stay on here. I can show you how to do some
I
work.
didn't know
with it.
how to say it either, so I just
Oh,
already
yeah.
learned something.
It's Sue. You don't need to put the T
Is
in
it
front
a
of it.
Greek?
It's
It
just,
must be Greek.
It sounds like something Asian to me. I have no idea.
well, it's
No
like
idea.
tsunami. You don't
Right.
mention the T in front of a tsunami.
Wait, don't you say pneumonia? All right, folks. Yes.
Guys.
I sent you a very long message in too.
Oh, okay. I gotta go over. I keep forgetting to go there. Between Twitter and Facebook, I have it, and Skype. I forget about that other one, but I'm gonna have to get used to it. And thank you, Linda.
Welcome, darling. Good to see you
All right,
again.
we're gonna sign out.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.
Ed, really nice to meet you guys. On now we get back for some more for sure, definitely. So
Yeah,
I'll
for
see you next
sure.
week.
We'll hold you to that.
Have a lovely week.
Nice meeting you.
Funny.
How do I get out? Hang on, I gotta get out. I gotta get out.
There's a leave group button at the bottom right side.
So, Cami and India, do you want to
India's
learn a little bit
gone.
about that?
No, India's gone, and we've got a meeting